I watched more than 30 hours of expert speakers talking in big rooms and discovered the key principles you need to incorporate now. I'll talk about the life-changing lessons you can learn from Steve Jobs or Jim Carrey and review what else we can take from other three professionals, but first we need to start with the easiest tip I learned from Mark Zuckerberg.
And yeah, sure, I know what you're thinking. It's like, this guy? Yeah, he's far from being the best speaker, but I know we need to recognize how much he improved over time.
Years ago, he used to talk like an android, which isn't great if you are the CEO of one of the biggest companies in the world. But he really trained himself to become a better communicator, and if you're in a similar space, start with the same tip he used. See how Mark usually dresses casually when giving speeches, wearing simple shirts, jeans, and tennis shoes.
So, just do the same. It doesn't mean you have to dress all fancy and perfectly. What's important is that you feel comfortable in what you are wearing.
If you see yourself well dressed, you will feel more confident in your body, and believe it or not, will help you give a better speech.
Now, if you need to wear a suit or your work outfit, my own tip is to wear these clothes until you feel comfortable in them. Own that look and make it yours. But of course, talking is more than just a nice outfit. And to remember that, we have the one and only Hermione Granger.
You might be thinking, who is this Harry Potter girl? And what is she doing speaking at the UN? And it's a really good question. I've been asking myself the same thing. All I know is that I care about this problem, and I want to make it better.
When Emma Watson gave this speech at the UN in 2014, she was 24 years old and was one of the most recognized actresses at the time. Famous, talented, and as you just saw, still felt unsure when talking. And she carried out with it because she knew that her message was bigger than her. She remembered that she had a message that mattered, and so should you. It's okay if you didn't start in one of the highest grossing movies franchises of all time. We all have a story to tell, and if you have to prepare a presentation or deliver a big speech, think that your audience is there to hear that message. They want to listen to you and trust in what you say. But they will never do that if you don't believe in your message and see how important it is. Amateurs communicate, professionals inspire. That's why you need to care about what you are saying. Show confidence, emotion, and dedication. Of course, this doesn't mean you need to be rigid and serious. Take what happened to Sir Kevin Robinson during one of the most famous TED Talks of all time. He was talking about creativity, why we are educated out of it, and when starting to talk about a personal experience, this happened.
Actually, we lived in a place called Snitterfield, just outside Stratford, which is where Shakespeare's father was born. Are you struck by a new thought? I was. You don't think of Shakespeare having a father, do you? Do you? Because you don't think of Shakespeare being a child, do you? Shakespeare being 7. I never thought of it. I mean, he was 7 at some point. He was in somebody's English class, wasn't he? Do you understand? Really? How annoying would that be? You know?
Let's take a closer look at what he has just done because we have 2 tips for the first one. He made visual contact with the audience, moved his hands, took poses to mark his time, and most importantly, laughed. And by doing so, the audience started laughing too. Until that moment, people listening to him saw him relaxed, focused, and knew he was enjoying the moment, not working. They were hooked on the speech and wanted to listen to what he was going to say next. And out of nowhere, a joke that was both funny and completely aligned with the point he was making. If he achieved this, he'll graduate from the non-existent school for public speaking. Just like Sir Ken Robinson, you need to have a chill attitude that demonstrates expertise and confidence. Believe that you are the expert so the audience can believe that too. And try interacting with them. Make visual contact, ask them questions that they can answer internally, and if the context allows it, make jokes. You don't have to be Seinfeld, but a witty comment or joke can make the speech feel more dynamic and entertaining. Plus, it helps you recognize how much you are nailing it depending on the response you get. Be attentive, measure the audience. Read the room. Still, comedy can be a double-edged sword. But no worries, it's not like you need to be Jim Carrey to be funny.
It can be rough out there, but that's okay, because there's soft serve ice cream with sprinkles.
So, we could say that this is me in the corner. This is me in the spotlight. Losing my religion. Never right, people.
Get him out of here.
I'm sad. Then he is good. Any of us could make the same joke and get zero response from the audience. But there is something very important we can learn from him. Pay attention to his body and expressions.
What we really want seems impossibly out of reach and ridiculous to expect, so we never dare to ask the universe for it. I'm saying I'm the proof that you can ask the universe for it. Please. And if it doesn't happen for you right away, it's only because the universe is so busy fulfilling my order.
See how he uses his hands to mark his time. How he touches his chest to emphasize he's talking about him when he makes a joke. And the typical Jim Carrey face he puts to give it a final spin. People are more likely to emphasize with what you are saying if you add intensity to the important moments. If you want to improve your body language, you can start just by using one hand to manage your tempo and emphasize certain words. But if you are already an expressive type of person, don't over-gesticulate. Remain chill and also use only one hand. Use both hands when you want to emphasize, but don't move them around throughout your whole speech. Again, don't be Jim Carrey, but be expressive. Still, connecting with the other person that's listening to you is more than just using your body language. They need to empathize with you. And to do so, Michelle Obama can show us how.
Reason why I'm standing here, it's because of education. I never cut class. Sorry, I don't know if anybody's cutting class. I never did it. I loved getting A's. I liked being smart. I liked being on time. I liked getting my work done. I thought being smart was cooler than anything in the world. And you too, with these same values, can control your own destiny. You too can pave the way.
To speak about the importance of education, she used her own story and experiences to connect with a young audience that most likely wasn't that interested in a TED Talk. You know, everyone hears the name of Michelle Obama and instantly thinks about success or power, but by talking about how she liked getting straight A's and how she came from a working class family, it's way easier to relate with her. But most importantly, this really reinforced the topic she was talking about. And this is definitely something that you need to have in mind when scripting your speech. And since we're talking about it, I think it's time that we get to talk about one of the best, and in my personal opinion, my favorite speech on how to really base all the speeches that I have ever given. Because sure, you can create an outline or write a speech that you don't need to follow 100% by heart, but next time you're going to sit down and write a script, just follow the steps from Steve Jobs.
I never graduated from college, and this is the closest I've ever gotten to a college graduation. Today, I want to tell you 3 stories from my life. That's it. No big deal. Just 3 stories.
If you haven't seen this commencement speech, I can't recommend it enough. Even if you don't have to do public speaking. Without delivering big words or sounding perfect, I mean, he read the entire speech. He gave us 15 minutes of marvelous storytelling, interesting personal experiences, and most importantly, iconic and memorable lines. Let's break this down. First of all, the speech has a clear structure. 3 stories, each one with a lesson that he wants to share with his audience. Its narrative directly achieves the commencement objective. Second, he shared personal stories with a clear purpose that most people were unaware of. And you may think it's easy to have interesting stories when you create one of the most important companies and products of the century. How can you compete with that? Truth be told, just tell your story, man. It's powerful and honest, and the audience can feel really reflected with you. I felt empathic for Steve Jobs, and then we had different lives. And finally, memorable lines. Pay attention to how at the end of every story, Steve has a resounding line that summarizes the story and its lesson. We could summarize the entire speech in just these few sentences. So go ahead and find a concise yet strong takeaway that the audience has to remember once you've finished. Now, Will following all these tips make you instantly an expert speaker? The answer is no. If we get that picky, we'll find improvements in all of these experts. So you bet you are not going to be perfect, especially when you start. But be willing to grow and embrace feedback. Ask friends, viewers, and even a few people from your audience what they thought and take that constructive criticism to grow. And if you're like most people, chances are you had problems memorizing anything, including a speech. So go ahead and watch our video on the best mnemonic techniques you can use now to improve your memory. You can use them for basically anything. You'll see.